On our 10th wedding anniversary, my husband gave me divorce papers and a bill for his infidelity. He took my house, my job, and my dignity, leaving me nothing but a storage key he'd accidentally left behind. He thought he stole my last $60,000. He had no idea that single mistake was about to unlock a $30 million secret. My name is Alara Vance. I am 38 years old, and for the last 6 hours, I have been moving through my kitchen with the precision of a surgeon. Tonight is everything. The Denver air outside is crisp, but inside our newly renovated kitchen, it's warm. The scent of braised short ribs, the ones that take all day, fills the house. I check the oven timer. 10 minutes. Perfect. Tonight must be perfect. It's our 10th anniversary. I run my hands down the front of the silk dress, the deep blue one Liam bought me for my birthday last year, his favorite. On the gleaming marble countertop, the one we argued about for 3 weeks and finally chose together, sits an open bottle of Cabernet, his favorite vintage. I spent weeks tracking it down. I glance at the clock. 8:15. He's late, but that's normal for his job. A little thrill of anticipation runs through me. 10 years, a decade. We built this life, this beautiful house, piece by piece. At 8:30, the sound of the garage door rumbles. I quickly light the last candle and turn the music down low. I hear his keys hit the small bowl by the door. "Liam," I call out, moving to the entryway. He steps into the kitchen light. My smile freezes. He isn't carrying flowers. He isn't carrying a gift bag. His trench coat is still buttoned, and his face is something I have never seen before. It is absolutely, terrifyingly blank. "Hi," I say, my voice suddenly small. "You're late. Dinner is—" "Don't," he says. The word cuts the air. He walks past me, past the perfectly set table, past the simmering ribs. He places his briefcase on the marble counter. From it, he removes a thick manila envelope. Not a card. An envelope with a legal return address. He slides it across the counter. It stops right next to the wine. "Happy anniversary, Alara," he says. His voice is cold, not angry, just cold. I want a divorce. The blood drains from my head. The room tilts. "What, Liam? This isn't funny. Stop it." "I'm not joking." He looks at me, really looks at me, and there is no recognition, no love, just impatience. "I'm in love with someone else." My breath catches. It must be a mistake, a work thing, a misunderstanding. "Someone." "Who?" "Chloe," he says. The name doesn't compute. "Chloe. My Chloe. My best friend since college, the godmother to our hypothetical children, the woman I work with every single day at Innovatech Solutions." "No," I whisper. "You're lying." "I'm not," he says, almost bored. "She's waiting for me right now. We've been involved for over a year. A year. All the late nights at the office, all the business trips they took together, all the times I confided in her about the distance I felt growing between Liam and me. It wasn't my imagination. It was their design. "Get out," I managed to say, my hands shaking. "Get out of my house." Liam lets out a short, sharp laugh. "That's the other thing. It's not your house anymore. Alara." He taps the envelope. "I sold it. The sale closed last Tuesday." "That's impossible," I say, shaking my head. "I would have to sign. I never signed anything." "You did," he says. "Remember those refinancing papers I had you sign a few weeks ago while you were cooking? You were in a hurry." He smirks. "It was a power of attorney. Simple, really. You should read what you sign. You, of all people. A data analyst." My legs give out. I grab the counter to steady myself. The marble is freezing cold against my palms. "The accounts," I whisper, already knowing the answer. "Drained," he confirms. "I've already allocated our assets. Fairly. Fairly. I know what his definition of fair is. It means he took everything. He managed our finances. He managed everything. I was supposed to be the analyst, but in my own life, I had seen none of the warning signs. Liam, please. I beg. The word tastes like acid. You can't do this. 10 years. You can't just... I just did. He finally unbuttons his coat. He looks impatient, like I'm keeping me from something important. You need to be out of here in 48 hours, he says, checking his watch. The new owners are taking possession on Wednesday. 48 hours. 2 days. Where am I supposed to go? You took all the money. My job. Right, he says, as if remembering a small detail. Imitate. Yes, that's probably not going to work out. What with the situation? He smiles. Chloe and I are starting our new life. We can't have you lingering around. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a single key. He tosses it onto the counter. It clatters loudly in the sudden silence. It's the spare key to my old sedan, the one I had before we upgraded me. Don't make this any more complicated than it needs to be, Alara, he says, picking up his briefcase. He walks to the door, stopping for a moment by the dining room table, looking at the 2 plates, the candles, the feast I prepared. He looks back at me, his eyes completely empty. You've lost. The front door clicks shut. I am left alone in the warm kitchen, with the smell of food I will never eat, holding a key to a life I no longer have, and the marble is so cold it burns my skin. I stand frozen in the silence, my hand still resting on the marble counter. It's so cold. The smell of the short ribs is suddenly nauseating. He's lying. He has to be. This is a joke, a sick, elaborate 10th anniversary prank. My fingers, numb and clumsy, pull my phone from my pocket. I dial Chloe, my best friend, my confidant. She will clear this up. She will laugh and call Liam an idiot, and this will all be over. The line rings. Once. Twice. Then a click. Hey, you've reached Chloe. You know what to do. Leave a message. Her voice is bright, bubbly, and so familiar it feels like a physical blow. I hang up and dial again. Straight to voicemail. I dial a 3rd time. Voicemail. He's not lying. My phone buzzes in my hand, a violent rattling sound against the silence. A new email. The sender is HR Services, Imitate. My heart doesn't drop. It just stops. I open the message. Dear Ms. Vance, this email is to inform you that your employment with Imitate Solutions is terminated, effective immediately. Immediately. The word hangs in the air. I keep reading, my eyes struggling to focus on the corporate speak due to significant departmental restructuring and a review of your recent activity, which has been flagged for violations of our internal security policy. Violations of security policy. I wrote half of our compliance protocols. I'm the one who trains new hires on data security. This is impossible. It's a lie. A blatant, clumsy lie fabricated by the 2 people in the company with seniority over me. The 2 people who just detonated my life. My body moves on its own. I walk to the kitchen island where my laptop sits closed. I open it. I click the bookmark for my work email. The login portal appears. I type my username. I type my password. Access denied. Your credentials have been revoked. It's real. It's all real. In the span of 10 minutes, I have lost my husband, my best friend, my home, and my career. My mind scrambles, searching for a handhold. Our friends, Sarah and Mark, Jessica, they'll know what to do. They'll help me. Liam can't have fooled all of them. I call Sarah, straight to voicemail. I call Mark. It rings once, then abruptly hangs up. A second later, a text message pings. Sorry, in a meeting, can't talk. At 9 p.m. on our anniversary, I dial Jessica, my college roommate, my maid of honor. Surely, not her. Straight to voicemail. The silence that follows is absolute. I see it now. This wasn't a sudden implosion. This was a long, patient, Meticulous campaign. How many months has Liam been seeding this narrative? How many brunches has Chloe had with Sarah, planting little seeds of doubt? Oh, Alara's just been so stressed lately. She's not herself. I'm worried about her. She seems unstable. They didn't just push me off a cliff. They spent a year severing every one of my safety ropes first. I look at the clock. It's been less than an hour. I have 47 hours to get out. I move like an automaton. I walk upstairs, past the gallery wall of our wedding photos, our trips to Italy, our smiling faces, lies, all of it. I pull my largest suitcase from the back of the walk-in closet. What do I even pack? What is mine? I grab clothes at random. Jeans, sweaters, underwear, my laptop, the few pieces of jewelry my grandmother left me. I zip the bag. I go to my purse, sitting on the dresser. I open my wallet. I count the cash. $300? A few singles? $300 is all I have to my name. I walk down the stairs, suitcase bumping behind me. I don't look at the perfectly set table. I don't look at the cooling food. I don't turn off the music. I walk out the front door and don't look back. My old sedan is parked on the street. I haven't driven it in months. It smells like dust and old coffee. It takes 3 tries for the engine to turn over. I drive. I have no destination. I just drive, leaving the manicured lawns of our neighborhood, merging onto the highway, heading out of Denver. The city lights fade in the rearview mirror. 20 miles out, a flickering neon sign cuts through the blackness. Motel. Weekly rates. I pull into the cracked asphalt lot. The man behind the bulletproof glass looks up from his tiny television, annoyed. How long? He grunts. A week, I say, my voice a croak. I slide $200 from my wallet under the glass. He slides back a key attached to a plastic tag. Room 104. The room is a yellow-stained box. The air is a toxic fog of stale cigarette smoke and bleach. The comforter on the lumpy bed is a hideous floral pattern, stiff as cardboard. The lock on the door looks like it's been jimmied with a screwdriver. I drop my suitcase by the door. I sit on the edge of the bed. The springs groan in protest. This is it. This is my life. A 10-year marriage, a high-level career, a beautiful home all gone. Reduced to a single suitcase and a disgusting room off the highway. This wasn't an affair. This was an execution. My mind is spinning, grasping at straws. What did I miss? What else? And then I remember. A small, nagging thought. My grandfather, Marcus. He died 7 years ago. He left me a small trust fund. It was never much, just a rainy day fund. He'd called it. Liam, with his financial expertise, had insisted on helping me manage it. He moved it to his preferred bank, promised better returns, better management. I remember his casual, dismissive comments over the years. That tiny little trust of yours? Don't you worry about it, Ilara. I'm handling it. My hands are shaking so violently I can barely hold my phone. I open my banking app. I tap on the trust account. I enter the password. My breath hitches. I wait for the balance to load. It appears. $0, 0 cents. I scroll down. A single transaction, dated 2 days ago. Wire transfer. Outgoing. For the entire balance. He didn't just take the joint accounts. He didn't just take the house. He reached into my past, into the one thing that was mine and mine alone, and he stole that too. He took every last cent. He left me here, in this filthy room, with nothing. He made sure I had no money, no job, no friends. He made sure I had no way to fight back. I stare at the 0 on the screen. The buzzing of the neon sign outside the window fills the room. A cold, hard clarity settles over me, pushing the panic away. He thinks he's won. He thinks I'm broken, penniless, and alone. He thinks this is the end. He's wrong. The first day is a blur of shock. The second is a fog of disbelief. By the 4th day, A grim, grinding reality sets in. The motel room, which at first felt like a temporary hell, is now just home. The smell of bleach and old smoke has seeped into my clothes, into my hair. My world has shrunk to these four stained walls and the buzzing neon sign that paints the room red every few seconds. I live on the watery burnt coffee from the lobby machine and the instant noodle cups I bought from the vending machine down the hall. My remaining cash, barely $100 after paying for the room, dwindles with each day. I spend hours on my laptop, sitting cross-legged on the lumpy bed, applying for any data analyst job I can find. I send out 10 applications, then 20, then 50. The response is absolute, deafening silence. Not a single confirmation email. Not one, "We've received your application." Nothing. It's just as I suspected. He's blacklisted me. Liam and Chloe, sitting in their high-level positions at Innovatech, have poisoned the well. A security violation is a death sentence in this industry. He didn't just take my job, he took my entire career. The desperation is a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. On the 5th day, I run out of clean clothes. I unzip my suitcase, the last remnant of my old life, and dump its contents onto the hideous floral comforter. This is it. The sum total of a Lara Vance, a few sweaters, a pair of running shoes, some jeans, and my toiletry bag. I start sorting, folding, trying to bring some small measure of order to the chaos. I'm just organizing the wreckage. I pick up the toiletry bag, a simple leather case Liam gave me years ago. It feels heavier than it should. I unzip the main compartment. Toothbrush, toothpaste, a travel-sized shampoo. I reach into the bottom, my fingers brushing against something hard and metallic. I pull it out. It's a keychain. Not mine. Liam's. It's his old one. The one he used before he got the fancy monogrammed leather fob that matched his briefcase. This one is simple, scratched metal. He must have tossed it into my bag carelessly, sweeping the last of my things off the dresser in our bedroom, in a hurry to erase me. On the ring is a single, unfamiliar key. It's not a house key. It's not a car key. Attached to it is a small, rectangular plastic tag, the kind you get from a storage facility. Stamped into the plastic is Apex Storage and a unit number C14. My mind flashes back. An image, 6 or 7 years ago. Liam, standing in our old apartment, holding a stack of banker's boxes. "Just old tax papers," he'd said. "And all that stuff your grandfather left? It's cluttering up the closet. I'm putting it in a small storage unit. My grandfather, Marcus, the trust. I'll handle the paperwork," he'd said, waving me off. "It's just for the trust documents. Keep everything organized for the IRS." A new feeling flickers beneath the suffocating blanket of despair. It's not hope. It's just curiosity. A single sharp point of light in the fog. I check my wallet. $53 left. I walk to the front desk. "Where is Apex Storage?" The night manager grunts, pointing to a faded map tacked to the wall. "About 5 miles up the highway, west side. Can you call me a taxi?" The taxi ride costs $22 I can't spare. The driver drops me in front of a sprawling complex of faded orange metal doors under a buzzing fluorescent light. The office is dark. A sign on the door says access hours 6 a.m., 10 p.m. I walk through the rows of identical doors. C10, C12, C14. I stand in front of the heavy, roll-down door. The lock is old, slightly rusted. My hand trembles as I insert the key. I turn it. It clicks. The lock pops open in my hand. I take a deep breath, tasting the dust in the air. I brace myself and heave the metal door upward. It groans in protest, the sound echoing in the empty corridor. The unit is small, 10 feet by 10 feet. It's packed, floor to ceiling, with banker's boxes. On the side, there's an old, battered metal desk from Liam's college dorm, a chair, and a filing cabinet. The air is musty, smelling of old paper and time. I pull the string for the single bare bulb overhead. The light is weak. I look at the boxes. They're all labeled in Liam's precise, neat handwriting. Taxes 2015, taxes 2016, college textbooks. It's exactly what he said it was. Just useless clutter. My shoulders slump. What was I expecting? A bag of cash. A confession. This is just a tomb for our dead past. I walk to the old metal desk. It's covered in a thick layer of dust. I pull open the top drawer. It's empty, save for a few dried-up pens and some paper clips. I pull open the second drawer. Inside, there is a single folder. It's not dusty. I lift it out. It's a bank statement. The most recent one for the Marcus Vance Trust account. My eyes scan the page. I see my name. I see the account number. And at the bottom, I see the transaction history. It confirms what I already knew. A single outgoing wire transfer, dated just last week. The amount $60,000. The entire fund. He took it all. He took my grandfather's $60,000. Seeing it here, in black and white, makes it final. I'm an idiot. I wasted my last dollars to come here and see proof of what I already knew. He's won. He left me with nothing. Anger surges, hot and sharp. I slam the desk drawer shut. Clack. The sound is wrong. It's not the sound of an empty drawer. It's the sound of metal hitting something solid. I frown. I pull the drawer open again. I run my hand along the back. Nothing. I close it. Clack. My heart starts to pound, a slow, heavy drumbeat. I pull the drawer all the way out, yanking it free from its metal runners. It clatters to the floor. I crouch down, peering into the dark cavity of the desk. There, taped to the very back of the wooden frame, hidden in the shadows, is a small black object. It's a portable hard drive. I reach in, my fingers fumbling. My nails tear at the heavy-duty duct tape. It finally rips free. The drive falls into my hand. It's small, anonymous. Liam is meticulous. He is the most organized, file and label, everything in its place person I have ever known. He would never, ever tape a hard drive to the back of a piece of furniture in a dusty storage unit. This wasn't his. This was my grandfather's. I don't walk back to the motel. I run, or at least, I walk so fast it feels like running. The hard drive is a solid, cold weight in my jacket pocket, a physical anchor in the swirling chaos of my mind. I clutch it through the thin fabric. Every car that slows down, every person I pass on the dark highway shoulder, feels like a threat. My paranoia is a living thing, crawling up my spine. Liam is smart. He's meticulous. He's a planner. He wouldn't just forget a hard drive. He wouldn't use duct tape. The sloppy, desperate nature of the hiding place feels wrong. Unless Liam didn't hide it. This wasn't his. This was my grandfather's. I finally get back to the motel, my lungs burning. The door to room 104 is just as flimsy as I left it. I jam the lock, then shove the rickety desk chair under the knob. It's a pathetic defense. If someone really wants in, they'll be in within 10 seconds. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely unzip my laptop case. I sit cross-legged on the lumpy bed, the one that smells like old ashes. I plug the laptop in. The battery is low, and I have no idea what I'm about to unleash. I plug the hard drive into the USB port. A small white light on the drive blinks to life. It's alive. My laptop chimes, recognizing the new hardware. A drive icon appears. I move the cursor over it, my index finger hovering. I click. A window instantly fills the screen. It's not a list of files. It's a stark, gray box. Drive encrypted. Please enter password. The words blur. Of course, it's locked. My grandfather, Marcus, was paranoid on his best days. A man who kept his money in a trust that was really just a savings account was not going to leave a hard drive lying around unprotected. A single, blinking cursor, waiting. My mind races. What would the password be? I'm an analyst. I analyze patterns. Pattern 1. Liam. Did Liam find this? Did he try to access it? What would he use? I type in our wedding anniversary. June 10, 2015. Access denied. I try his birthday. Liam Wall 4984. Access denied. I try the name of our first dog, the one that died before we moved to Denver. Buster. Access denied. A new line of red text appears beneath the password field. 5 failed attempts remaining before drive contents are permanently erased. My blood freezes. 5 tries. 5 chances before this. The only lead I have dissolves into nothing. This isn't a game. This is a self-destruct sequence. I can't just guess. I have to know. I close my eyes, pushing Liam and Chloe in the motel room out of my mind. I force myself to think about Marcus, my grandfather. He was a quiet man, almost a recluse. The rest of the family called him an eccentric, a failed history professor who lived in a house overflowing with dusty books and maps. He was obsessed with 2 things, cryptography and our family genealogy. He wasn't just building a family tree. He was charting a legacy. He used to teach me ciphers when I was a kid. A game, he called it. Patterns, Alara, he'd say, his voice a low rumble. History is just a pattern waiting for the right key. People are the same. He had a password, a master password he used for everything. His email, the lock on his study, the old safe he kept in the floorboards. He told it to me once, when I was 16, helping him set up his first computer. We need something strong, Grandpa. Something you'll remember. I'll remember this one, he'd said, his eyes distant. It's the name of the woman who started it all for us. My eyes fly open. My heart is a hammer against my ribs. I know it. I lean toward the screen. I have 4 attempts left. I only need 1. My fingers, steady now. Type the password. Serafina, 1888. My great-great-grandmother's name. The year she was born. I hit enter. The gray box vanishes. A new window opens, populating with folders. Dozens of them. My breath catches in my throat. It's not tax papers. It's not college notes. It's an archive. A meticulously organized, terrifyingly comprehensive backup of his entire digital life. Folders labeled financials, market research, Ethelred, Innovatech. My blood runs cold. Innovatech. The company I worked for. The company Liam and Chloe still work for. Why does my dead grandfather have a file on my company? My eyes scan the list, but one folder jumps out. It's not in alphabetical order. It sits at the very top of the list, the name in all capital letters, a beacon in the digital sea, for Alara. When they come. When they come. Not if. When. He knew. He knew this would happen. He knew someone would betray me. My hand is trembling again, but I click the folder. It opens. Inside. There are no spreadsheets, no complex documents. There is only one file. A single video file. The file name hits me like a physical blow. My real will. I stare at it. The buzzing of the neon sign outside, the sound of the traffic on the highway, the smell of the bleach, it all fades away. The world contracts to this small, glowing screen. I move the cursor. I double-click the file. The screen goes black as the media player launches. And then, a face appears. It's him, my grandfather, Marcus. He looks older than I remember, frail, sitting in his study. He looks directly into the camera. He looks directly at me. My grandfather's face fills the laptop screen. It's him, but not the him I remember. The Marcus I knew was vibrant, even in his quiet obsession, always moving, always thinking. This man is frail, the life pared down to the bone, his skin pulled taut over his cheekbones. He is sitting in his study, the familiar, comforting chaos of books and maps blurred in the background. He is looking directly at the camera. He is looking, I realize with a jolt, directly at me. A dry, rasping cough shakes his thin frame. He clears his throat, and when he speaks, his voice is a thin whisper of the rumble I remember. "Hello, Ilara," he says. "If you are watching this, well, it means I'm gone, and it means they've come for you." A chill, sharper and deeper than the motel room's damp air, settles into my marrow. I have apologies to make, my girl," he continues, his eyes holding mine, "and explanations. I've allowed you to believe a lie for your entire life. Several lies, in fact." He leans forward, as if to shrink the distance between his time and mine. I was not a failed history professor. I was not a poor, eccentric old man obsessed with genealogy. That was a costume, a role I played for our family, for the world. My hand is frozen on the trackpad. "In the 1990s, he says, and for a moment, a spark of the old, intense Marcus returns to his eyes. Before most people understood what the digital world would become, I was working on, let's call it decentralized encryption. I wasn't just working on it. I created something, a foundational algorithm, a key that could lock any system so tightly it could never be opened. But it was also a skeleton key, a master pattern that, in the wrong hands, could unlock everything." He looks away from the camera, as if remembering the weight of the discovery. It was too dangerous, far too dangerous for the world as it was. So, I buried it. I published a few boring academic papers, retired from the university, and failed at history. I let the world, and my own family, believe I was a harmless crank. It was the only way to protect the work, and to protect you. I can't breathe. This man on the screen is a stranger. "But I did not," he says, and the faintest trace of a smile touches his thin lips. "Die poor. Ilara, I used my own algorithm to protect my assets. My real assets, not the scraps I left for the family to fight over. I created a system of anonymous digital vaults, spread across the globe, all locked by my creation. That, my girl, is my real will." He pauses, taking a slow sip of water from a glass just off screen. "Tens of millions of dollars. Ilara, enough to live 10 lifetimes, enough to change the world, or to burn it down. Tens of millions, not 60,000. Millions. My mind is short-circuiting. But a secret that valuable doesn't stay secret forever," he says, his voice hardening. "Someone new. Whispers, rumors of a master key, and one company. They've been hunting for it for years. Ethelred Capital. The name hits me like a physical blow. Ethelred, the silent, massive parent corporation of Innovatech Solutions. My employer, Liam's employer. Ethelred," he spits the name like poison. "They want the skeleton key. They want to control the market, the banks, the data. They found out I had a granddaughter. They found out about you." The motel room seems to tilt. "No," I whisper to the screen. "No." "They couldn't get to me. I was too well hidden. But you were young, brilliant, ambitious, and trusting. You were the perfect way in." Marcus looks down, his face a mask of profound, agonizing regret. When he looks up again, his eyes are not sad. They are filled with a cold, righteous anger. "He didn't meet you by chance, Ilara. Liam." The buzzing of the neon sign outside is the only sound. "He didn't just bump into you at that coffee shop. That whole story. It was a fabrication." My mind flashes to it. Me, rushing, spilling a hot latte all over his expensive suit, his charming laugh, his insistence on taking my number. Our meet-cute story. The story I've told 100 times. A lie. "He is an asset," Marcus says, the word clinical and brutal. "He was recruited by Ethelred years ago. His entire purpose, his job, was to get close to you, to marry you, and to spend every day of your life searching for my keys. He was looking for this drive. My marriage. My 10-year marriage. It wasn't a life. It was an assignment. A long con infiltration. I feel sick. And Chloe. My grandfather continues, his voice ruthless, cutting away the last of my delusions. Your best friend. The woman you told everything to. The woman who held you when you cried. She wasn't your friend. Alara. She was his handler. The brunches. The girl talk. The endless, casual questions about my family. My grandfather. He sounds so interesting. Did he leave you anything special? Any old letters? All of it. All of it was data mining. Their friendship, their affair. He scoffs. That was just part of the mission. They were in it together from the very first day you introduced them. Ethelred's top 2 agents. The anniversary dinner. The cold look in Liam's eyes. The security violation. The synchronized, instant silence from all our friends. It wasn't a messy, personal betrayal. It was a corporate extraction. They finally got what they thought they wanted, and I was loose inventory to be liquidated. I knew this day might come, Marcus says. His voice is soft now, filled with a terrible, weary sadness. I couldn't protect you forever. I could only arm you. The $60,000 trust. He lets out that dry, short laugh again. It was bait, my girl. A little piece of cheese in the trap. I left it there, just visible enough, just easy enough to steal. I needed to know if your husband, the man I suspected from the moment I met him, was greedy enough to take it. I needed to confirm the betrayal. He leans in close, his eyes burning into mine through the screen. If you are watching this, he took the bait. He took the $60,000, and in doing so, he left you the key to everything. The video cuts to black. I sit in the buzzing silence of the filthy motel room. The grief that has been suffocating me for days is gone. The shock, the panic, the despair all evaporated. They have been replaced by something else, something cold, heavy, and sharp as forged steel. He didn't just leave me a fortune, he left me a weapon. That, my grandfather says, his voice a final disembodied whisper in the dark room, was his mistake. The black screen of the laptop reflects my face, hollow-eyed and pale under the flickering motel light. The video is over. My grandfather is gone. My marriage is gone. My entire life, every memory I cherished, has been a lie. The shock doesn't last. It flashes into a cold, pure anger that burns away all the grief, all the panic. He left me a weapon. It's time I learned how to use it. I go back to the main directory on the hard drive. The folder for Alara contains more than just the video file. There is a text file named Instructions and a small encrypted partition named Keys. I open the instructions. It's not a letter. It's a technical manual, written in my grandfather's precise clinical style. It contains a web address, not a normal one, but a long, complex string ending in a onion, accessible only through a specific secure browser already loaded onto the hard drive. I launch the browser. The interface that loads is stark black and white. It's not a bank. It's a vault. It demands authentication. Primary key required. I access the keys partition. The password, as Marcus hinted in his video, is another piece of our shared history. Seraphina's promise. Inside are 3 text files. The private keys. Long, impossible strings of letters and numbers. I copy the first key. Secondary authentication required genealogy. A series of prompts appear. Password 1, Seraphina's arrival port. I type New York password 2, her first son's name. I type Thomas password 3, the year the family charter was signed. I type 19, 12 authentication accepted, welcome, E. Vance. The screen refreshes. A single line of text appears at the top of the page. Account balance for a second. There is nothing. Just a blinking cursor. Then, the number populates. It's not $60,000. It's $32,450,000. The number just sits there. 32 million. Not in a bank, but in a stable digital currency. Untraceable, untouchable, and now, entirely mine. I stare at the screen. I don't cry. I don't gasp. The last of the victim in me dies in that moment. The 60,000 Liam stole was the bait. This is the trap. This isn't money to start a new life. This is a war chest. This is ammunition. I go back to the hard drive. There is one other main folder, the one that made my blood run cold. Ethelred. I open it. Inside, there is only one file, a massive multi-gigabyte encrypted file named The Ledger. This, I realize, is the real weapon. The money is just the fuel. I unlock it. The password is the one he taught me to use for all our games as a child. My name. Backward. A rail. It's not a document. It's an entire universe of corporate espionage. My grandfather wasn't just a paranoid history professor. He was a spy master. He had been watching Ethelred for decades. There's a folder, Personnel Assets. I click it. Inside are two subfolders, Liam Vance, Chloe Reynolds. I open Liam's. It's his entire file, a full psychological profile, his recruitment papers, his mission brief. Objective ingratiate with target Alara Vance. Locate Marcus Vance's algorithm research. Priority absolute. My 10-year marriage, my entire adult life, summed up in a 5-page corporate document. I open Chloe's. Hers is worse. She wasn't just his handler. She was the mission lead. Her notes are meticulous, detailing every friendly conversation we ever had, every piece of information I naively gave her about my family. Then I see the audio surveillance folder. My hand trembles. I click a file dated 6 months ago. The audio is crystal clear. It's Liam and Chloe. In my house. My grandfather must have had them bugged. She's getting sentimental about the anniversary. Chloe's voice says, bored. Is she any closer to remembering where the old man kept his research? How the hell should I know? Liam's voice replies. I can hear the smile in his voice. She still thinks he was just a broke old man. She's completely loyal. She'll sign anything I put in front of her. That refinancing paperwork last week, power of attorney. She didn't even read it. Good, Chloe says. The board is getting nervous. The IPO is in 6 months. We need that algorithm. If she can't find it for us, we liquidate. We take the trust fund as a final sweep and cut her loose. I close the file. My stomach is full of ice. There's one last folder. Project Skeleton Key. It's Ethelred's internal market plan. They weren't just going to use the algorithm. They had a specific plan to create a targeted, catastrophic crash in the tech sector. Use the algorithm to bypass security protocols and short-sell the entire market into oblivion, allowing them to buy up their main competitors for pennies on the dollar. They weren't just planning to ruin me. They were planning to destabilize the entire economy, and the man I loved, the woman I called my best friend, were the architects. The transformation is complete. The hot, messy grief is gone, replaced by a cold, sharp, analytical focus. I am a data analyst, and I have just been handed the most important dataset of my life. I move with precision. Step 1. Go back to the vault. Following Marcus's instructions, I open a new, anonymous account with a private bank in Zurich. I transfer $5 million. The transaction is confirmed in under a minute. Step 2. I look at my phone, sitting on the nightstand. The phone Liam paid for. The phone Chloe texted me on every day. It's not a phone. It's a listening device. A tracker. Step 3. I stand up. I methodically copy the entire contents of the ledger to the secure vault's cloud storage. I unplug the hard drive and slip it into my pocket. Step 4. I take my laptop. I walk to the bathroom and put it in the tub. I methodically, calmly, Smash the screen and the motherboard with the heel of my shoe until it is nothing but plastic and broken circuits. Step 5. I pack my single suitcase. I walk to the door, open it, and leave the key on the nightstand. I don't look back. I walk to the highway overpass. I take my phone from my pocket. I power it down, remove the SIM card, and snap the small plastic chip in two. I throw the phone off the bridge, watching it spin end over end until it disappears into the darkness. I throw the SIM card pieces in the opposite direction. I walk 2 miles to a 24-hour convenience store. I use the cash I have left to buy a prepaid, encrypted, disposable phone. A ghost. I stand under the buzzing fluorescent lights of the store's parking lot and power it on. The clean, bright screen illuminates my face. Alara Vance, the victim, the wife, the friend, died in that filthy motel room. The woman holding this phone is someone new. A woman with $32 million, a dead man's ledger, and a very, very specific to-do list. The hunt has begun. I didn't stay in Denver. I left the city that night on a bus, using my last $200 for a one-way ticket to Chicago, then another to New York. I was a ghost, a woman with no phone, no home, and a $5 million wire transfer sitting in a Swiss bank. From a payphone in Grand Central Station, I made my first call. I didn't contact a divorce attorney. Liam and Chloe were operating on a level far beyond marital disputes. They weren't unfaithful spouses. They were corporate operatives who had completed a mission. You don't bring a divorce lawyer to a gunfight. I called the offices of David Serrano. Serrano was a name whispered with fear on Wall Street, a financial crimes prosecutor turned private litigator. He didn't handle divorces. He handled corporate assassinations. He specialized in gutting hedge funds and putting CEOs in prison. Getting a meeting was rumored to be impossible. I left a message with his assistant, using my new alias. 2 hours later, my burner phone rang. Mr. Serrano's office. He has a 10-minute window. I have incontrovertible proof that Ethelred Capital is planning to use a proprietary algorithm to defraud the market during their upcoming IPO, I said, my voice flat and cold. I also have internal documents proving conspiracy, wire fraud, and espionage conducted by 2 of their senior employees. There was a pause. Mr. Serrano can see you. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. While I waited, I built my armor. I was no longer Alara Vance, the suburban wife. That person was dead. I was Serafina, the name I gave Serrano, a nod to the great-grandmother whose name had unlocked my inheritance. Using my new, pristine Swiss account, I formed a Delaware LLC, Serafina Strategic Holdings. It was a shell company, owned by a trust, which was owned by another anonymous entity. It was a ghost. Under that LLC, I leased a penthouse apartment in a new, sterile glass tower in Manhattan. It was not a home. It was a command center. It had biometric security, fiber optic internet, and a view of the city that reminded me that the world was bigger than the Denver suburb I had been trapped in. My meeting with Serrano was in a steel and glass conference room 40 floors above the city. He was sharp, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, with cold, analytical eyes that missed nothing. I didn't tell him my life story. I didn't cry. I didn't mention my marriage. I simply opened my new laptop, connected to his secure network, and accessed the ledger from my encrypted cloud. I showed him the Project Skeleton key folder. I showed him the market manipulation plans. He didn't speak for 20 minutes. He just read. Finally. He looked up. A gleam in his eye, I recognized the look of a predator that has just caught the scent of blood. "This is the case of a lifetime," he said, his voice quiet. "What do you want?" "I want Ethelred Capital burned to the ground," I replied. "And I want Liam Vance and Chloe Reynolds to light the match." Serrano agreed to represent my LLC. My first directive was to hire a private investigation firm. "I don't want amateurs," I told him. "I want the best." The firm he hired was staffed by ex-Mossad agents. They were expensive, silent, and effective. Within 12 hours, they had a 4-person team in Denver with high-grade surveillance equipment. I wanted eyes on Liam and Chloe 24/7. The first report came in 48 hours later, complete with high-resolution photographs. Liam and Chloe weren't hiding their tracks. They were celebrating. They had just closed on a $4 million penthouse in Cherry Creek, paid for in cash. The transfer memo, Ethelred Capital, bonus. They had been paid for their success. Their bonus for destroying my life and stealing my grandfather's $60,000 bait was $4 million. The report was full of images of them laughing over champagne on their new terrace, driving a new black Maserati, kissing passionately by the elevator. They looked happy. Untouchable. Serrano's team confirmed my grandfather's intel. Ethelred was in the final quiet period before their massive IPO. The company was leveraged to the hilt, pouring every dollar into a flawless public launch. They were, as Serrano put it, a bomb waiting for a fuse. But I wasn't ready to light it. Not yet. Vengeance had to be methodical. I began my own work. I spent my days in the sterile quiet of my penthouse, analyzing the ledger. It wasn't just a record of Ethelred's crimes. It was a map of their victims. Dozens of small tech companies, innovative startups that Ethelred had deliberately destroyed over the years, either by predatory short-selling or by initiating frivolous lawsuits to bleed them dry of cash before buying their patents for pennies. I set up a second anonymous trust, completely firewalled from Serafina Holdings. Through it, I began to move, quietly, through a network of shell corporations. I began buying up the bad debt of those ruined companies. I bought their defaulted loans from banks, their outstanding judgments, their worthless stock. It was pennies on the dollar. To the financial world, it looked like a vulture fund cleaning up scraps. But I wasn't buying scraps. I was buying standing. I was acquiring the legal right to sue. I was becoming the sole creditor for every ghost Ethelred had left in its wake. While Serrano's team prepared the SEC and Department of Justice whistleblower complaints, I assembled my arsenal. I took my grandfather's raw data, the audio files of Liam and Chloe plotting, the internal memos, the detailed plan to crash the market, and I organized it. I am a data analyst, after all. I translated their conspiracy into a narrative so simple, so clean, and so damning that a child could understand it. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of my apartment, looking down at the city. The pieces were all in place. The SEC package was ready. The DOJ package was ready. I was now the legal voice for a dozen of Ethelred's victims. The investigators had Liam and Chloe locked down. I was ready. The trap was built. All I needed was for the rats to walk into it. For 3 weeks. I let them simmer. My team in Denver reported a shift. The champagne-fueled celebrations had stopped. The PI transcripts showed panicked, circular arguments happening in their $4 million glass box. Where is it? Liam. You said the old man's files were in that unit. Chloe's voice, no longer bored and seductive, but sharp, brittle. How the hell should I know I took everything? The 60 grand is gone. She has the hard drive. She must. She has a drive of old tax returns. She's a ghost. Liam. She's not smart enough to disappear. She's broke and desperate somewhere. Ethelred is getting cold feet about the IPO. The valuation is based on acquiring that algorithm. We don't have it. We've failed. We find Ilara. Liam's voice, colder. We get the drive. They were right about one thing. The IPO was everything. Serrano had confirmed it. Ethelred's value was speculative, built entirely on the promise of Marcus's skeleton key. Without it, their IPO would be a catastrophic failure. They were desperate. They needed the hard drive, and they assumed the woman who had it was the same one they'd thrown away a penniless, sobbing, broken victim. They had no idea I was sitting in a New York penthouse, watching their every move. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning. It wasn't sent to my old Innovatech address, which was long dead, but to a personal Gmail account I hadn't used in years, a legacy account. It took him 3 weeks to find me. The subject line was just my name. Ilara. My hand was perfectly steady as I opened it. Ilara. I don't know if you'll even get this. I've been trying to find you. I'm so sorry for what happened. I'm sitting in this empty apartment, and I've never felt more alone. I made a terrible mistake. A horrible, life-ruining mistake. It was Chloe. She manipulated me. She got in my head. She used my position at Ethelred against me, threatened my career. I was a fool. I never stopped loving you. Not really. My lip curled. He was a terrible writer. It was sloppy, transparent. I know you're struggling. I know what I did. Taking that money was an act of desperation. I want to make it right. I can't live with this. I know you have that old hard drive of your grandfather's. I know it has old family records on it, things that must mean something to you. I also know Ethelred has been asking about his research. It's nothing. Probably just old tax files, but they're paranoid about the IPO. I want you to be safe, and I want you to be okay. I have $100,000. It's a bonus I got. I want to give it to you, a fresh start. All I ask is that you let me take that old drive and give it to Ethelred, just to get them off my back, and off yours. It's worthless to them, but it's the only way I can protect you and fix this. Please, Alara, let me help you. Just let me help. Liam, $100,000. The perfect bait. Just enough to seem like an act of profound, guilty generosity, but not so much that it would raise his own suspicions. He was trying to buy a $30 million secret for $100,000. I closed my laptop and walked to the window. The arrogance, the breathtaking, blinding arrogance. He truly believed I was that stupid, that broken, that I would see his email, see the money, and crawl back to him, grateful for the scraps. He had just handed me the fuse. I waited 12 hours, long enough to seem like I was agonizing over the decision. I created a new, anonymous email address. From that, I replied, Liam, I don't know what to say. I'm not good. I'm in a motel. I have almost nothing left. That money, it would save my life. I don't care about the drive. It's just old junk. You can have it. Please. I just need the money. I really need the money. His reply was almost instantaneous. He was hooked. Thank you. Alara. Thank you. We can't meet in public. Too many eyes. Let's do this right. A private exchange, certified. The Zurich Financial Group has a private client branch in Midtown. They'll give us a neutral conference room. We'll sign the papers. I'll transfer the money. You give me the drive. Clean. Friday. Noon. I'll see you then. And I've missed you. I closed the email. A private bank. Neutral territory. Perfect. They believed they were setting a trap, that they could intimidate the broken woman in the motel. They had no idea I was the one who owned the room. Now, for the final piece. The accelerant. I opened a different, encrypted email client, one routed through 3 different continents. I drafted a new message. This one wasn't going to Liam. It was going to Arthur Drummond, the notoriously ruthless CEO of Ethelred Capital. The subject line, your IPO is in danger. The body, Mr. Drummond. You don't know me, but I know you. I know you're looking for Marcus Vance's algorithm, and I know your 2 top agents, Liam Vance and Chloe Reynolds, have found it. They have the hard drive. They are not bringing it to you. They are currently negotiating its sale to me, a private buyer, for a significant sum. They are cutting you out and selling your skeleton key to the highest bidder. The exchange is Friday, noon. Zurich Financial Group, Midtown Branch, Conference Room B. They are betraying you, just as they betrayed me. Happy hunting. I did not sign it. I hit send. The trap was now set. I had created a perfect storm. Liam and Chloe would walk into that bank expecting to find a broken, desperate victim. They would be armed with their arrogance and a $100,000 check. But now, thanks to my email, someone else was coming to the party. Ethelred's private security. They wouldn't be coming to negotiate. They would be coming to retrieve stolen corporate property from 2 rogue agents. They were all walking into the same box, and I was the one holding the key. I arrived at 11:45, dressed in a custom-tailored suit the color of anthracite. It was the first piece of clothing I had bought with my grandfather's money. And it was armor. I was not Alara Vance, the suburban wife. I was Serafina, the CEO of a holding company, and I was here for a hostile takeover. The Zurich Financial Group branch was a hushed, opulent space of polished mahogany and brushed steel. David Serrano was already there, waiting for me in the lobby, flanked by two of his sharpest junior associates. They looked like a high-end legal strike team. "The conference room is secured," Serrano said, his voice low. "The bank is cooperating fully. Our friends are in the adjacent viewing room. The audio is live." "And the other party?" I asked. En route, tracked from their apartment. I nodded. I walked into the private conference room. It was soundproof, heavy, and cold. I took the seat at the head of the long, polished table. My team sat on my left. On my right, I placed a slim black leather laptop case. Then, we waited. At precisely 12 o'clock, the heavy door swung open. Liam and Chloe entered. They were magnificent. They were a portrait of success, power, and unapologetic wealth. He wore a dark blue suit that probably cost $10,000. She was in a stark white dress, carrying a handbag that cost more than my old car. They looked tanned, rested, and utterly in control. They were the victors, here to pay off the vanquished. They stopped when they saw me. I watched them process the scene. This was not the woman they had left in a pile of her own life. This was not the crying, desperate victim from the emails. They saw the suit. They saw the cold, sterile environment. They saw David Serrano, a man whose picture was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal just last week. Confusion flickered across Liam's face. Chloe's eyes narrowed. She was the handler. She was the smart one. She instantly knew this was wrong. But Liam's arrogance, his defining trait, won out. He saw my suit, my composure, and assumed it was a bluff, a pathetic, last-ditch attempt at dignity. He smiled, that same devastatingly charming smile he'd used on me for a decade. He walked forward, taking a seat opposite me. Chloe sat beside him, her face a mask of cold impatience. "Ilara," Liam said, his voice dripping with condescension. He looked me up and down. "Well, you look better. I'm glad to see you landed on your feet. Or at least, got a good suit." "Let's just get this over with. Liam," Chloe said, her voice sharp. "We have a 1 o'clock reservation." Liam chuckled and slid a certified cashier's check across the table. It was made out to Alara Vance for $100,000. "There you go," he said. "A fresh start. Now, the drive." As we agreed. I didn't look at the check. I kept my hands folded on the table. I looked at him. I looked at the man I had loved, the man who had been a complete stranger, a corporate operative, for 10 years. "I have it," I said, my voice even and cold. I tapped the leather case beside me. "But I think you should see what's on it first." Liam's smile faltered. "What are you talking about? We had a deal. Sign the release. Give us the drive." "I don't think you understand who I am," I said. "Or who my grandfather was. You came here to buy some old tax files, but I think there are other people who are far more interested in its contents." The conference room door opened again. Liam and Chloe turned, annoyance on their faces, expecting a bank employee with coffee. It was not a bank employee. David Serrano stood up as 2 men and 1 woman entered the room. They wore dark, conservative suits. They did not look like lawyers. They looked like the government. The lead agent flashed his badge. FBI, Cybercrime Division. His partner nodded. SEC, Division of Enforcement. The color drained from Liam's face. It was instantaneous. He went from tan and powerful to a sickly, pale gray. Chloe let out a small, choked gasp and physically recoiled, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "What is this?" Liam stammered, looking at me. Ilara, what did you do? But before I could answer, the door burst open again. This time, it wasn't the law, it was muscle. 3 very large men in ill-fitting black suits, the kind with obvious earpieces. They were Ethelred's internal security. They looked frantic, angry. They were here to catch 2 rogue agents. The lead security man, a brute with a thick neck, pointed at Liam. "Vance Reynolds, you're done. The CEO wants the drive. Now!" He took one step into the room, ready to grab them, and then he froze. He saw the FBI agents. He saw the SEC badge. He saw David Serrano, a man who had put men like him in prison. The Ethelred team stopped dead, their hands halfway inside their jackets. Their faces went from rage to sheer, unadulterated panic. They had just gate-crashed a federal operation. The room was absolutely silent. The trap was set, and every single rat was in it. David Serrano smiled, a thin, precise, joyless smile. "Agents," Serrano said, his voice cutting through the silence. "These are the individuals you've been looking for. Liam Vance, Chloe Reynolds." The FBI agent stepped forward, his eyes locked on them. "Liam Vance and Chloe Reynolds, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, interstate theft of intellectual property, and violations of the CFAA." "No," Chloe shrieked, finding her voice. It was high and panicked. "This is a misunderstanding. We work for Ethelred Capital. This is corporate property." "That is correct," the SEC agent said, her voice dry. "And Ethelred is the primary complainant in the theft, though that's the least of their problems as of 10 minutes ago. And yours." Liam was shaking, his eyes wide, looking at me. "You can't do this. This is a personal dispute. She's unstable. This is about $60,000. He laughed, a high-pitched, hysterical sound. He looked at the FBI agents, his voice pleading. "You were called for $60,000. That's a marital asset. It's a civil dispute. It's not a crime. You can't arrest us for that." I stand up, slowly. The room is silent, trapped in the vacuum of Liam's hysterical, choking laugh. I walk from the head of the table until I am standing directly in front of him. He is still seated. He has to look up at me. He flinches. "You're right, Liam," I say. My voice is perfectly quiet, yet it carries to every corner of the soundproof room. $60,000 isn't a crime. It's a rounding error. He stares at me, the laughter frozen on his lips. It was the trap. His eyes, the eyes I loved for a decade, are wide with a confusion that is only now blossoming into terror. "My grandfather knew exactly what you were," I continue, my voice cold and surgical. "He knew what Ethelred was. He left that $60,000 as bait, a simple, stupidly simple test of your greed. He needed to confirm that the man married to his granddaughter was the kind of monster who would steal her last dime while pretending to love her." I lean in, close enough for him to see that the woman he left in that motel is gone forever. "And you were. You took it. That money wasn't the prize, Liam. It was the confirmation. It was the key that unlocked this." As if summoned by my words, the lead FBI agent steps forward. He places a heavy, bound document on the table in front of Chloe. "Speaking of assets," the agent says, his voice flat, "this is a federal warrant to freeze all assets acquired through the proceeds of this conspiracy. That includes, specifically, the $4 million penthouse in Cherry Creek, purchased in cash with your bonus from Ethelred." Chloe's head snaps toward the document. The mask of impatience cracks, revealing the raw panic beneath. No, that's ours. That money is clean. We earned that." "You earned it by stealing intellectual property." The SEC agent corrects her, her voice dry. "It is not clean. It is proceeds. It will be seized by the end of the day." This is what finally breaks her. Not the arrest, not the federal agents, the loss of the money, the loss of her win. "You can't," she screams, her voice high and piercing. She looks past me, past the agents, to the terrified Ethelred security team still trapped by the door. Ethelred will protect us. They'll fix this. Our IPO. Our IPO is next week. They need us. The IPO, I say, as if tasting the word. I've been meaning to ask about that. I reach into the pocket of my suit. I pull out my phone. Not the one Liam gave me. The new one. The clean one. The one they never knew existed. Liam and Chloe watch me, their eyes fixed on the small black device. The agents pause, uncertain. I unlock the screen. I look at Chloe, her face streaked with tears of rage. "You're right. Ethelred was your protection, but you forgot who you were dealing with. You thought you were fighting me. You were fighting him." I open my encrypted email client. A single prepared draft sits at the top, the recipient list a who's who of global finance. I look at the clock on the mahogany wall, 12:17. 3, I say clearly. "Ilara, don't," Liam whispers. He finally understands. He finally sees the shape of the box he is in. 2, I say. "Please." He begs, the word a pathetic, strangled sound. 1, I press send. For a single breathless second, there is absolute silence. Then, the world explodes. A phone buzzes on the table. It's David Serrano's. A second later, the FBI agent's phone vibrates violently. Then the SEC agents. Then the phones of the Ethelred security team, all at once. A deafening chorus of notifications, ringing and buzzing, echoing off the expensive wood paneling. Serrano looks at his screen, his eyes widening. My God! The lead FBI agent pulls his own phone out, his face turning grim. "We have an alert. Every major news outlet." "What did you do?" Chloe whispers, her voice dead, her eyes fixed on me in horror. "I just released my grandfather's ledger," I say. "Marcus's real will, the entire thing. Every audio file of you and Liam plotting in my kitchen. Every internal memo from Ethelred about Project Skeleton Key. The complete step-by-step guide to how they planned to manipulate the market." I look at the Ethelred security team, who are now backing away, their hands raised. It just went to the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, Bloomberg, Reuters, and the private email addresses of the entire board of directors at the SEC. Your quiet period is over. The lead security man is already out the door, his phone pressed to his ear, his face ashen. "Sir, it's public. I repeat, it's all public." The SEC agent is scrolling through her own device, her expression one of stunned disbelief. Trading on Ethelred has been halted." "Halted?" I ask, pulling up my own private market feed. "No, halted was 5 seconds ago." I turn the screen so Liam can see the graph. The pre-market stock of Ethelred Capital, which was soaring just an hour ago, is now a single vertical red line pointing straight to the floor. "It's at 0, I say. "You didn't just fail to get the algorithm. You just became the catalysts that destroyed the entire company. Congratulations." Liam makes a sound, a low, animal noise of pure, soul-crushing despair. He slumps in his chair as the second agent pulls his hands behind his back and snaps the handcuffs on. Chloe is just staring at me, her face a mask of disbelief and pure, undiluted hatred. You had all of it. You had the money." "I had the money," I confirm, my voice calm. $32 million. That's what he left me. But he also left me something better. He left me this. I gesture to the room, to the wreckage. Serrano's associates are already handing files to the SEC agents. My files. The legal claims for the dozen companies Ethelred destroyed. As the primary creditor for the companies Ethelred bankrupted, I say, I'll be taking the lead on the class action suit. I suspect. I'll own what's left of Ethelred's assets by Christmas. The agents cuff Chloe. She is silent now, the fight gone, leaving only a hollow shell. I pick up my leather laptop case, the one containing my grandfather's hard drive. I look at Liam one last time. He is a broken man. The $10,000 suit, the tan, the arrogance, all gone. He is just a failed operative, a greedy fool who took the bait. He looks up at me, his eyes begging. I give him nothing. I turn my back on them. I turn my back on the federal agents, on the lawyers, on the ruins of my former life. David Serrano holds the door open for me. I walk out of the bank, alone. I step out onto the busy Manhattan street. The air is cold, but I don't feel it. I am not the woman who went into that room. I am not Ilara Vance. I am Serafina. I am free, and I am very, very rich. Thank you so much for listening to my story. This is Lily Revenge Stories. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and share your thoughts on the story. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and give it an extra boost by hitting that hype button so more people can hear this story.